Big Hero 6 is the movie that is probably the most famous for being the Disney movie in the Disney New Renaissance animation movement that came after Frozen. But I remember this movie for another reason. It is my favorite movie, not just of the new Disney Renaissance era, but one of my favorite Disney movies. And all of my moments in this movie are my favorite moment, but one of my favorites is when Tadashi Hamada sees the science building of his university on fire, and he gets this look on his face like he's never going to come out of that fire. And as he runs towards danger, his brother Hiro grabs his wrist and says, "Don't do it." And Tadashi famously says, "But my science professor is still in the building. Somebody has to help." This is Cancerian energy. Now, the Zodiac season for Cancer runs from about June 19th to about July 20th, roughly a month. And I inadvertently surround myself with Cancerians, it seems. From my mom, to my spouse, who is a Cancer moon, to my own dear daughter, who is a Cancer Mars placement. A very powerful placement, I might add. But in the same way, I seem to unintentionally love fictional characters with Cancer placements. And this video could be about all of the fictional characters I love who have prominent Cancer placements, but that would take all damn day, because most of the fictional characters I love are Cancer placements, because I think besides Aries, it is my favorite zodiac sign in terms of how I just unintentionally surround myself with these loving, beautiful people. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the zodiac placement Cancer. And that can be Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, Cancer Rising, or Cancer in any of the prominent planet placements, your Mercury, your Mars, or your Venus. And this is just going to be like a top 10 list of my favorite Cancer traits that I associate with the zodiac sign. By the way, this is Pomp and Circumstance. I can't think of a better classical piece to embody Cancer, because Cancer is the mother energy. Its ruling planet is the moon, which is everything psychic, everything esoteric, and it is the ultimate feminine energy. And that's the first thing I love about Cancerians, and especially Cancerian men, because we live in a patriarchal society where men are judged and demonized for showing any emotion that's not anger or violence. And Cancerian men just can't seem to help showing their softer emotions of sorrow or joy or nurturing or anything like that, because it's just their nature. They were born nurturers. And I think it's so apparent in Cancerian men and so appealing because of the stark contrast from what the patriarchy expects of men, which is so toxic and terrible. And that's why I call Cancerian men the undercover womanizers. And I didn't coin that term. That's another astrologer I listen to, and he was talking about Scorpio Venus men, which are very similar to Cancerian men, especially Cancer Moon men, in that they are just so loving and nurturing and accepting that many women find that appealing. And it attracts them to the men without him having any say in it. Now, as far as Cancerian men, of course, wear their softer emotions on their sleeve, and it's one of the things that makes them so appealing. I married a Cancer Moon man. I'm thinking about Detective Elliot Stabler from Law and Order SVU, and how he doesn't even try to hide his family life, his journey as a girl dad. Like, it's the show is always cutting away to him doing that. It's his life. Like these are the detectives. These are their stories. And it's just, he's very much out there. He's like, yeah, I'm a girl dad. What, you want to make something of it? He's out there having teacup parties with his daughters and then getting back out in the hood, taking care of business. And, you know, I think about my man, Agent John Doggett, in this way. He is a Cancer moon and Stabler is a Cancer rising. But John Doggett, I'm thinking of him like waxing poetic about how much he loves cats to his partner. And that's just like a normal thing he discusses, is his love of cats and babies. And, you know, that is Cancerian men. Like, they're going to love and nurture you in a specific way because that is their second nature. And it's the same with Cancerian women. I'm also thinking about my favorite Cancerian sun man, and that is my boy, Captain Don Cragen from Law and Order SVU, because like his NYPD son, Elliot Stabler, he is also a Cancer man. He is a Cancer sun man, and Elliot is a Cancer rising man. But one thing I love about Captain Cragen, and I love everything about him, is how he is the coolest cucumber in New York City until someone steps to his kids and all the kid gloves come off then. He's like, you said what about my son? You said what about my daughter? I don't think so. And that is such a Cancerian energy. Like, you will not touch their family. And I think that's one of the most prominent traits about Cancerians. Because they are very protective signs, overprotective signs, and it can get into possessive territory. And I'm going to go off into unpopular opinion territory. Cancerians get dragged for being overprotective and possessive, and I don't think that's true. I think Cancerians can become overpossessive, unevolved Cancerians, but most of the time when they are like that, it doesn't come from a place of pride or ego in them. It comes from a place of caring for the other person, which can turn just as toxic. And I'm thinking about how overprotective and possessive Scully was of Mulder in the X-Files. Scully is a Cancer moon woman. And yes, like, her possessiveness gets very toxic, and it's not good for him or for her. However, I think she only does it when Mulder is fucking up and associating with super sketched out people. Looking at you, Diana Fowley. Looking at you, Alex Krycek. Looking at you, sketched out CIA guy from Colony. But, like, those are the times she's doing that. The Krycek, I also headcanon Alex Krycek as a Cancer sun man, a very low modality Cancer sun man, and like he also has that possessiveness of Mulder, and I think that is when the Cancerian possessiveness goes into that low modality territory where you're just, you know, someone down to their cells, down to their soul level, and it comes from that Cancerian need to know someone and nurture them in that very specific way. It can turn terribly toxic when someone knows your heart, mind, body, and soul. But when it is a good and loving thing, like my spouse is for me, it's probably the most beautiful love in the world, is that Cancerian love. I call it customizable love, because Cancerians will look at you and know how you want to be nurtured. They will know how you want to be loved in that specific way. It's their superpower. And I love that for Cancerians. Their superpower is mom love. Like, it's how a mom loves you. A Cancerian knows the brand of ketchup you like in your meatloaf. They know how hard you like your mattress or how fluffy you want your pillow. That's a Cancerian's power. I call it customizable love. And in that way, they will accept you. A high modality, an evolved Cancer will accept you for all of your weirdness. I I'm thinking of Sheriff Harry Truman from the show Twin Peaks, and how he was not just taking care of everyone in the town, he was accepting them for exactly who they are. And Dale Cooper, his best buddy, is the biggest weirdo of the weirdos. And he's always the one, like, doing these crazy things. And I always want that deleted scene in the show where he turns to Harry and he's like, so how I talk to Diane in my tape recorder, like, that's never too weird for you. And Harry being like, what the hell are you talking about? Everyone in this town is weird. And, like, Harry knew everyone in the town was crazy, but he was just like, this is how they are, and I love them for it. And that is how a Cancerian will love you. I always think about the scene with Log Lady, and Dale Cooper looks at Log Lady, and he's like, can I ask her about her log? And Harry says, many have. He doesn't say, like, oh yeah, she's the village crazy woman, and you don't need to pay attention to her. No, he's just like, this is how she is, and if you don't like her, well, screw you. And that is very much how a Cancerian will love you. They will accept everything about you and make it better. And that's why I think Cancerians and Sagittarians get along so well. And that's one of my unpopular Zodiac pairings, because a Sagittarian will want to understand you and your specific weirdness, because everyone is a weirdo. They will want to understand that on a cerebral level. A Cancerian will want to understand that on a heart level and how to nurture you specifically. That's why so many Cancerians are in fields of service. I call them the first responders, and I call them the last responders of the Zodiac, because Aries and Leo and Sagittarius, like, they are the ones rushing towards danger and being like, I'm going to stop this terrible thing. They're like Superman. But the Cancerians are like the EMT workers. They go in and they say, but someone might be in there hurting or injured or needing my protection. Like Tadashi Hamada from Big Hero 6. Like, they're always that person saying, looking around. When I think of Mr. Rogers and how he always said, when there's a crisis, look for the helpers, I always think of Cancerians. That's who he was talking about. Those first responders, the people right on the scene taking care of people. But Cancerians, that energy is also the last responders. They are the people taking care of people with chronic illness, taking people with care of people with terminal illness, taking care of people with life-threatening injuries, helping people see their way out of this life and into the next one. The funeral home directors, the people in hospice. These are the people caring for the most vulnerable people in our society. And not just people, like, on their way out of this life, but people coming into this life, like newborn babies, women, pregnant women. That's why so many Cancerians take jobs in healthcare, law enforcement, or any kind of public service field. Firefighters, police officers, detectives. I'm thinking about doctors, pediatricians, oncologists. Like, these are those people taking care of people that need it the most and that are very hard to care for. I was in cancer treatment for the past year. Okay, I had my double mastectomy last summer, and I wrapped up chemo around Christmas. And that is that energy I always see in the cancer ward among the oncology nurses, is that Cancerian energy. And not just Cancerians that take a professional field. I'm thinking about my spouse and my daughter, who were my ultimate caregivers during my journey through cancer treatment. And Cancerians, I can't quite describe it, and I don't think you could. I don't even think Cancerians can, how they will illuminate that hurting part of your soul like the moon and draw it to them like the tides and nurture it and make it better. I can tell you right now, I would not have survived the journey without my two Cancerian caregivers. Absolutely not. And that's why I call them the first responders and the last responders. of the Zodiac. So, by the way, we're playing Pomp and Circumstance, and I cannot think of a better classical piece to describe Cancerian. It's all about Cancer is all about coming home. It's all about finding that place inside of yourself that wants to be nurtured like a child. And Cancerians get that, and they understand that, and that's why they're so powerful. So, another thing about Cancerians is they love to cook. And I generally see that. Taurians usually get like a rap for loving to cook. Capricorns get a rap for loving to cook. But Cancerians do it, again, not as a thing for pride or even art, but they see it as another vehicle for nurturing people and for loving people. I'm thinking of Julieta, Mirabel's mother in the movie Encanto, and how she was taking that and literally weaponizing it. Like, she would feed people and it would literally heal them. That is a Cancerian trait. Cancerians will heal you through the food they cook. My man is a Cancer moon, and that's true. He's an excellent cook. And he will... It's like mom's soup, mom's meatloaf, the way mom makes the biscuits, the way mom makes the chicken. That's the way Cancerians will prepare it. I'm also thinking about the scene in Ratatouille where Remy fixes the ratatouille for the food critic, and it takes him right back to that moment his mom made him that when he was a kid. And I'm like, Remy's a Cancerian, isn't he? Because that's exactly how a Cancer cooks for you. Cancerians love to pinch, and these are the Cancerians I know in real life, like a crab. If you know a Cancerian, do they do this? They like playfully pinch, and they also love to insert some good-natured roughhousing into their life. I'm thinking about Stabler on Law and Order and how he would sometimes just randomly insert some good-natured roughhousing into the police bullpen. It's something Cancerians do. They're like, well, things are too serious in this joint. We're gonna have to roughhouse. They're so cute in that way. And then they love to do it. My daughter and my man, they are the roughhousing. They are the roughhousing rowdies. I always say that Cancerians are a water sign, but they should have been a fire sign. They get along well with fire signs because they have that kind of rough and tumble side. I am a Leo sun, and my spouse and my daughter also have a fire sun signs, Sagittarius and Leo. Yeah, so another thing Cancerians do that they do not get enough credit for is get the bag. And Taurians and Capricorns and Earth signs, Virgos, they get that rap for getting that bag, for hustling, making that dough. And I think for them it comes from a place of ambition, which is great. And they want to have that possession as like a safety net and for social status, and that's awesome. I salute anyone who does that. I think for Cancerians, they want that bag because it makes their home more comfortable, and it makes it more comfortable for the people they love. I like to do like these little animated characters in this video as like a representing the sign mascot, and I thought about Mr. Krabs because I loved SpongeBob SquarePants. And I thought, but Mr. Krabs is like miserly and greedy, and he's like very self-centered. And I'm like, that does not encapsulate Cancerian energy. And I thought, but low modality, it does, because Cancerians want to go into their little shell, their little home, and deck it out with their possessions and just be in their little corner. And I'm like, that is a low modality Cancer, is Mr. Krabs. I'm thinking of the episode where he's courting Mrs. Puff with the intent to marry, and instead of spending his own money, which makes him feel bad, he sends SpongeBob out to spend his money to buy these extravagant gifts for Mrs. Puff. But when it happens, Mr. Krabs turns on SpongeBob and uses him as his whipping boy, and SpongeBob cracks, and you get the best line in the series where Mr. Krabs says, "You're breaking me, boy," and then SpongeBob looks in his little book and starts cussing like a sailor. It's a great episode of SpongeBob. You need to check it out if you've never watched SpongeBob. But yeah, and in a high modality way, you see Cancerians wanting to make that bag to make their family comfortable. I think it's one of the reasons Cancer rising is across the zodiac wheel from Capricorn, because Capricorn is a lot like that too. They want to make that bag for a home to make sure the people they love are cared for, and that's, I think, one of the reasons Capricorn and Cancers get along so well. Another thing I put in my list of top 10 is, quote, crying while beating people up. Cancerians love to do that, don't they? Because they wear their hearts on their sleeve. I'm thinking about Dana Scully and how she was the most feminine, dainty, put together, makeup, hair is perfect, and she's just out there beating the living shit out of the bad guys. And it's one of the things that attracted me to her, is just that it's a very Cancerian trait. Like, I'm going to look like a perfectly put together lady, especially for Cancerian women, and be like, but I will kick your ass, so do not cross me. And I'm not saying all Cancerians are ultra feminine, even though they have that, you know, the moon is their ruling planet. But I think all Cancerians have that trait of, like, I'll kick your ass, and then I will go have a tea party with my child. Like, they all have that. They all have that energy. Cancerians, I don't believe in your zodiac placement, like, affecting your appearance, but it's interesting to look at the Cancerians in my life and in the characters I love and see traits. And I find with Cancerian men, they have the arms, the shoulders, and the neck. Those curving, big bulkiness. And the ladies tend to have these softer curves. Not necessarily talking about voluptuousness, but just soft curves in all the right places to make you feel at home, to make you feel like, okay, I can trust this person, they're going to protect me and nurture me. Like, I think Cancerians, an astrologer I listened to, Mina, said that it's their heart chakra shining through them, and I believe that. They're just such an evolved Cancerian is so kind and so loyal and so compassionate. It shines through them. And I think that's what gives, especially the Cancerians ladies, that very soft quality. You want to go to them. It's like getting soup from your mom. It's just that kind of love, and it shines through them. You see that. Cancerians get a bad rap for being moody, and I always get pissed off at this stereotype, because I think of the X-Files episode Syzygy, where Scully is very much pissed off at Mulder, and in Syzygy, the gimmick is there's this, like, retrograde, this astrological retrograde, and this town is the crosshairs of it, and it's causing everyone to act very strangely, make people do very bad things, sometimes illegal things. And for Scully, it affects her, it makes her kind of a bitch, and people judge her for that in how she reacts to Mulder and the lady detective in that episode. And every time I watch that, I'm like, but you're just seeing this astrological retrograde take down the guardrails for Scully's indignation and anger. She's no longer having that facade of politeness that's always around her to deal with Mulder's douchebaggery, and she's just, this is how she feels all the time. And every time I see people drag Cancerians for being moody, especially lady Cancerians, I'm like, no, they're dealing with your bullshit 24/7. You're just seeing them show the tip of their anger indignation iceberg when they get moody. So cut them some slack. Also, Cancerians are the ultimate esoteric psychic ruling sign, so they're feeling everything from everyone all the time. They're going to be a little tired. And that's another thing about Cancerians, is they repress their emotions, which is a toxic and unhealthy thing. But I don't know where people are getting off with, like, Cancerians are always so emotional. I'm like, no, they're repressing their emotions, and you're just seeing the tip of their indignation iceberg. and I feel that with my daughter and my man. Like, things will be bothering them, and I know they're bothering them, and then weeks later they'll be like, oh, and this thing's bothering me. I'm like, yep, that's a Cancerian thing. So I think we have pontificated on our Cancerians both in real life and imaginary, and we're going to talk about some ships we love. This is the fun part of the video where we talk about zodiac pairings I love with Cancer. And let's start with a very popular match, Cancer and Scorpio. And I know people pair everyone with Scorpio because Scorpio's hot. But with Cancer, it really works because they are both those water signs who will find out shit about you. Scorpio will find out shit about you. Cancer just knows shit about you. Cancer will tell you the address of your secret lover. Like, Cancer is that sign. Scorpio is the investigator. Cancer is the psychic. So they work very well together. So many great pairings. Both canonically and headcanon wise. As far as ships go, I ship Scully as a Cancerian woman with Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks, who is Scorpio moon, famously, and with Will Graham from Hannibal, who is a Scorpio sun. Scorpio and Cancer, very hot, because they're both psychic. Another very popular pairing that I also support is Cancer and Pisces, because they are the two sweetest signs in the zodiac, them and Sagittarius. I'll get to Sagittarius in a minute, but they work. They're just so sweet. They're so loving, and they're so loyal and kind. Like, of course, they're going to work together. I'm thinking of Scully and Reyes. Okay. Also Cancer and Virgo. Because Cancer and Virgo are psychic in kind of the same way, in that they just notice everything. And yeah, they just notice every single thing. And that's, I think, one of the reasons Reyes and Scully get along. They both have that trait where they're paying so much attention to everything. Of course they're going to get along. And they're brilliant working together, and they're brilliant as lovers. Now let's get to a kind of unpopular pairing, and that's Cancer and Sagittarius, which I've talked about. I'm thinking about Mulder and Scully. And as far as Mulder being a Sagittarian and Scully being a Cancer, and both of them wanting to understand people at a soul level, investigating all of that weirdness about people, yeah, Cancer and Sagittarius are alike in that way. My man is also a Sagittarian, so he gets that double helping of, like, just wanting to understand people. Sagittarians and Cancers, I think, are two of the best at that, and Pisces also. And I really love that. Yeah. So, but I think with Cancerians, they care about the person individually. Like with Mulder, his thing was about the truth and about the quest and finding the secrets of the paranormal. That was his quest. That's what he wanted objectively. Scully could have cared less, I think. Like, you see it in the episode Squeeze, where her old buddy Colton's like, hey, whose side are you on? And she looks him dead in the eye and she says, the victims, with such a matter-of-fact air. She's like, why else would I have a dog in this hunt? Because I care about the victim. And I think Cancerians are that way. Like, they want to understand people on a soul level. They want to know how to nurture that person individually. And I think that's what sets them apart from Sagittarians. Sagittarians want to know the ultimate higher truth, which is admirable as well. So, yeah. So those are some pairings I love. Also, Cancer with any of the earth signs. I said Virgo, but Cancerians with Capricorn and Cancerians with Taurus work well because they both want that bag. They all want that bag. They all want that loving, safe home. So, yeah, I think that's it. It's just, I could go on and on all day about why I love these beautiful, beautiful, cuddly crabs. They're just great. So, yeah, if you know a Cancer, if you are a Cancer, give them a hug. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are the Capricorns of the goats. You are the crabs. Cancerians, we love you. Never change.